Hi everyone, this is Catalina from daydreamingtoreality.com, and today I'm going to teach you how to address envelopes using Cricut Print and Cut. Print and Cut is one of my favorite ways to address envelopes because it's fast, easy, pretty, and affordable. You have to think about it for a second. It's an envelope, and yes, we want to personalize it, we want to make it pretty, we want to make fun things, we want to shout to the world like, we have a Cricut, please look at my projects. But the reality is that most people toss envelopes when they receive their letter or their card. And I'm sure you're gonna thank me later if you start addressing envelopes with Print and Cut rather than Cricut pens. Before we go to Cricut Design Space, I want to show you all the tools and materials that we're going to need to complete this project. First of all, you need a Cricut machine. Any Cricut machine that supports Print and Cut. So any of the Cricut Explorer family machines and any of the Cricut makers is not compatible with the Cricut Joy. Sorry. We have a beautiful envelope. I made it using my free templates that you can download on my website. You don't have to subscribe. Seriously, you just click download and they're there for you. Nothing. I am not asking you to give your life for a template. So you can go get it there. And I'm going to leave a link in the description for a tutorial on how to make envelopes as well. I chose this paper because it's very dark and hard to read if you decided to use Cricut pens. It would be kind of impossible to use Cricut pens with this unless you use the marker, but still. With the contrast of black and white, it gets hard to see. So with Print and Cut, you can use very heavy pattern papers for envelopes, which another reason to like this method, right? And I'm going to be using some sticker paper. This time I got this Avery sticker project paper, and let's just try it. I haven't tried it yet. I also like Silhouette's sticker paper a lot. I work with it all the time. I just don't use Cricut sticker paper because it's so thick and it just used to get stuck in my printer, so I just don't recommend it. I'm also going to be using the standard grip mat, but you can also use the blue one because sticker paper is very thin. And since sticker paper is such a thin material, we're going to be using the fine point blade. Now that you know all the tools and materials, let's go to Cricut Design Space. I am in Cricut Design Space, and anytime we want to address an envelope or anything, we should start with a guideline of the envelope. So first, I'm going to add a shape that will represent my envelope. Let's do a square. The size of my envelope is about 5.5 by 3.5 inches. Perfect. And I'm gonna change the color for black because my envelope is kind of black and white. We are gonna be making labels for the recipient and also the sender. Let's go over here and I'm gonna add some text. So first, I'm gonna do daydreaming to reality. And then I'm gonna come up with a random address, 4785. And now we have the information for the sender. Now let's do one for the recipient. I'm gonna change the name again for Olivia Davis. 1325. Sunshine Street. I mean, something random. This is not real. I just came up with it. And this is what it is. We have the guideline, we have the sender, and we have the recipient. For the recipient, I want the alignment to be more centered. I like that. Perfect. Not everything is quite complete. We're going to be doing Print and Cut. If I were to send this Print and Cut, it would cut every single letter, and I don't want that. I need to create placements for these labels. I'm going to use squares, nothing fancy here, but you can also use the offset path, hearts, whatever you want. I'm going to send this to back. I'm going to unlock the proportions and I'm going to do a little placement here for this label. I'm going to copy this as well. Control C, Control V, and I'm going to send it to the back. Like this. I'm going to unlock the proportions and also do a placement for this label. Now, before I continue, I'm gonna see if there is other font that I may like better. Just click on the font that you wanna change and scroll all the way down to all the fonts that Cricut has or that you have on your system fonts. Remember that you want to have a font that is easy to read. You don't want your letter or card to be lost somewhere. I'm going to be using the font Elementary Light. It's a premium font, but it's just one of my favorite fonts ever. I'm going to have to resize again. There is a lot of line space here, so I'm going to shrink that space. And that looks pretty good to me. I'm gonna change the color for black. And I'm gonna use the same font here. Let's start here, -6, black. And I can see that in 8.32 to have the same font size. And I can shrink this little placement here too as well. Now I'm gonna center them, align center. And also here, I'm going to align center. Here you go. That looks pretty good to me. And, you know, just so you know, you can use writing fonts too, just so it looks like you wrote them, but you print them. Like, just let me show you real quick. I'm not going to be using a writing font today for this, but I just want to make the point that you can also use writing fonts. Like here, like for instance, this is a algebra. Is a writing font, and look at, you can also use it. Of course, you don't need all that spacing, but this is actually pretty cool. But I'm just gonna leave it with the font that I had it. Now that I have both labels, I'm going to group them so I can move them easier around the canvas. And this is my envelope template, and I'm just going to resize until they look good to me. The recipient can be larger than the sender too, or you can try to make them as similar as you can. It just really doesn't matter. Delete the guideline. Now it's time for you to decide how many labels you want to print and cut. You may want more copies of the sender because that's where you live, and maybe you don't send a lot of mail to the particular address that you're making the label to. Therefore, you will have to make multiple recipient labels. But something that I really like and that I find that is very useful is, first, I flatten one at a time. And you're gonna see why once we click on Make It. For instance, let's say that I want 15 copies of my project. Type in 15 here and then click on Apply. And Cricut added 15 copies of a single page for both the recipient and the sender. And if you had flattened together both labels, then you could have only printed, I believe, 10. And anytime we work with sticker paper, we want to save as much paper as we want because it's not super expensive, but it's not super cheap either. Once you're done adding all the copies you need, click on Continue. First, we're going to send the project to the home printer. So you click here. This is the printer that I'm going to use, but you can also use your system dialog. And I'm going to click on Print. Let's just move to the machine so we can cut our labels. These are my labels, but something very important that you have to consider when you're working with print and cut in sticker paper is the side that you feed the paper to your printer. For instance, this is the carrier sheet and this is the sticker paper. And for my printer, I have to feed it this way or this way. If I place it like this in my printer, then I'm gonna print on the carrier sheet. So every printer is different. I'm gonna place the labels on the Cricut mat, just like Cricut Design Space showed, like this. And I'm gonna open my machine. Let's select our material. If you have a machine with a Smart Set dial, move it to custom so you can follow along on this project. For me, I'm going to be using sticker paper it doesn't have it. It doesn't have the one that I usually use with my Cricut Maker, and I don't want to use any of these ones because they're very different. So this is the moment where you see how your paper feels. For me, my sticker paper, I checked it and it's very, very thin. So I'm just gonna use regular paper as my material. Let's find it here, copy paper. I'm gonna use 20 pounds. Let's see how it goes. And I'm gonna do less pressure. Let's hope it cuts them. But you see, these are kind of like the things that you have to deal with when you are working with materials that are not Cricuts. You just have to keep testing and testing until something works. I thought they had sticker paper removable. That's the one that I use usually with my Cricut Maker machine. Once you load your mat, press the flashing go button to start the cut. Your Cricut machine is gonna start reading that black frame, and then it will cut around all the labels. My machine is done cutting, and before I unload my mat, I'm gonna see if the sticker cut with the settings I gave it. Oh, it did! Yay! That's amazing. Happy dance, happy dance. Now I'm gonna unload the mat. And let's take a closer look. Everything looks fantastic. I'm just going to bend the mat to release the sticker paper like this. Here we have our beautiful labels. Now, how about we put them on the envelope? Let's do one of the center ones. One. And then two. Let's take a closer look. Isn't that so cute? And I mean, how easy is that? It took us less than 10 minutes. And then you can just do labels for the sender one too. I really have to do this because I don't like having to write down all my information every single time I want to send a mail. So that would be very useful. Wasn't that super easy? I told you it was going to be. We addressed an envelope in less than 3 minutes. Okay, it takes me a little bit more because I have to set up the camera and do all the tutorial, but when it's just you in front of the computer, seriously, 3 minutes. That's all it takes. And the result is amazing. You can use the same labels for a larger or smaller envelope as well. They're beautiful, elegant, and easy to make. So why should you use Cricut pens when you can use print and cut and make? Look at all these labels that we made in less than 3 minutes. Do you know how long it would take Cricut to write all these labels? I would say 20 minutes. No, seriously, maybe 20 minutes. It takes a long time. But you know, maybe it's something that you really, really like. And if you like it, that's why you got a Cricut. You don't have to please me. You just have to do whatever it is that you like. That's it for the day. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial and you learned something from it. Let me know in the comments down below what other type of content you would like to see on my channel. Other than that, I'll see you in my next video. Bye.